until we get to the holiday of Purim. In this time slot, I'd like to study the book of Esther. And then after the holiday of Purim, I'd like to study the book of Esther with Rashi. And then after the holiday of Purim, from Purim until Pesach, I'd like to study in this time slot the Haggadah, so we could prepare for Pesach properly. Everybody, when you come to the Seder, we're all going to have so many explanations. Nobody's going to want to hear them, but at least we'll know them in our minds. And I bought 160 pounds. I went to Israel. I baked the matzah, and we're sending back here 160 pounds of hand baked shmer matzah. Yeah, so I'm going to distribute matzah to people who want matzah. It doesn't work. People don't work. Yeah. Okay, so let us begin. Chapter 1 of the book of Esther, verse 1. This is some kind of book. This, of all the books of the Bible, this is many people's favorite because it's so funny and deep and political. And Rabbi Mark Giller at 2 p.m. he's giving great classes on it every day at 2 till the book of Esther. Maybe I'm not sure if it's a happy ending. You said it's a happy ending. And to my mind, the ending is very sad. Actually, it ends with nothing's changed. Achashverosh is still in power. He raises taxes. You still have this king who's unchecked, ruling over everybody, and so they escaped that threat, but they're still in exile under this very unscrupulous king, unreliable. Yeah, so I don't believe that it's a completely happy ending. Is that true? I heard different holidays that remain, but that's interesting. I could believe that. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. This was in the days of Achashverosh. Who Achashverosh? This is Achashverosh. Achashverosh ruled from Hodu until Kush. The Gemara offers two explanations. One say that these were opposite ends of the world, and one say they were right next to each other. Sheva Vesrim Mea Medinas, 127 provinces. Let's see what Rashi says. So Rashi says he was the king of Persia, Melech Prasaya. He was the king of Persia, Shemelach Tachas Koresh, who ruled after Koresh. This is Ezra chapter 4, verse 6. Masov Shivim Shana Shalgolas Bavel. Meaning to say, after 70 years of exile. So what does that tell us? That tells us that who were these Jews? Who were these Jews who were celebrating in these parties with Achashverosh? Who are they? They were the Jews who do not go back, because the rest of the Jews, after 70 years in Babylon, many of them went back to the land of Israel. But these Jews were the ones who didn't go back. So they were the majority. The majority did not go back. Well, it's Persia. So, but the rebuilding of the second temple had already started. But these Jews, including Mordechai, didn't want any part of that. They were Persian Jews. So that right away, we're off to Rashi tells us right away that this is a Jewish community that wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing. They weren't going back with the rebuilding of the temple. Who Achashverosh? It was in the days of Achashverosh. He is Achashverosh, which is superfluous. What does it mean? He is Achashverosh. So he could have used it without that. So Rashi tells us, Hu b'rishon mitchila tova ad sofo. He was wicked, and this, Jeff, goes to your point. Jeff said it is a happy ending. Rashi tells us Achashverosh was wicked from beginning to end. So the book ends, and Achashverosh is still wicked. Don't fool yourself. I want to say that don't fool yourself if sometimes the wicked ruler does something that you like. If he's still wicked, he could change his mind at any moment and do wickedness to you. Well, because they had a temporary victory, and so he remained wicked. Hamalech. Rashi tells us. Hold on 1 second. I have to stop my. How you doing, Milan? We're studying the book of Esther. It's in there. In that book is the book of Esther. What page is it on? Tell our friend Elon. Tremendous. The future of the Jewish people is right there. Is Elon. Definitely the past. I don't think so. I think you're the present and the future. I spoke to these kids in Israel. I gave a message to them. I went to a yeshiva. I spoke to like 100 kids, and I said to them, "You're it. I'm a has-been. I mean, I've been there. My time is done. I mean, I'm still going to do what I keep doing, but you guys are the ones. It's your world. You guys have the ability, and it's up to you to stand up for your values and beliefs." And I believe that. I mean, obviously, we're still living here. We still have to do what we do, but it's the next generation's time. Amalek, Rashi says, so this was Achashverosh who ruled from Hodu to Kush, but Rashi says, Amalek, Shem Malach Me'atmo, based upon the Gemara, he ruled from himself. He didn't have the right lineage, but he appointed himself king. No, that was Haman. Haman was the one who was a stable boy to Mordechai. Maybe, it could be, but I remember that being Haman. The Gemara Megillah says that he ruled himself. He was not of royal blood. I mean, okay, if you find that, I want to see it, because I know Haman was, but I didn't hear that about Achashverosh. Could be, yeah, because he was a commoner. Mehodu v'akush, from Hodu to Kush, Rashi says, Hamoech al mea v'esrim v'sheva medinos. He ruled over 127 countries, like he ruled over Hodu and to Kush, who stood next to each other. So Rashi says it means that just like he ruled over Hodu and Kush, who are right next to each other, he also ruled over another 127 provinces, meaning with complete control. From India to where? Well, Kush is a question. I said that at the beginning, that there's a question in the Gemara. Where are these places? Are they right next to each other, or are they in two opposite ends of the world? So this Rashi says that they're right next to each other. Are you reading the Rashi? On Safaria. Yeah, so if you look up the Safaria, the Rashi, you see, it says here, he ruled over the entire area. It says, as he reigned from Hodu to Kush, which are situated alongside one another. Can you see that footnote there, Rabbi Yosef? It has a footnote 7. No, so that's what I'm saying, that
This
the
is
Talmud...
Ethiopia.
No, what I'm saying is the Talmud has a question, where is Kush? It's not necessarily the case that Kush is Ethiopia. That's a dispute in the Talmud. It's actually also in the Torah itself. If you go to Genesis, it's not clear where it is exactly.
But not only in Genesis, Rabbi, King Asa had a war with 1,000 1,000s. They didn't have a word for million in Hebrew. I think it's only in Divrei Yamim. And it says that they were Kushim. So it does make sense that it was from Egypt because Cush was one of the sons of Canaan, and so was Mitzrayim. And they're not
There might have
literally,
been two places in the Torah called Cush,
yeah,
but the
but I'm just
Talmud
saying that
discusses.
when Rashi says literal that they're next to each other, it doesn't mean literally. There's an ocean between them, the Indian Ocean.
No. That's not what he means. I don't think so, Rabbi Yosef. I think that the Gemara discusses two approaches. If you look up the Gemara that they're citing here, which is Gemara
Megillah
Megillah
11.
11a. If you look it up, you'll see. I mean, I from my recollection of the Gemara is that there's two opinions. Where is Odu on Kush? Are you able to pull up that Gemara? You'll see. We'll see what we'll see. That's what I think Rashi is siding with. The opinion that says they're right next to each other. That's what my feeling is, but I don't have an annotated Rashi here. So if you look it up, let me know what it says because I think that that's what Rashi's referring to. Okay, so now we're up to verse 2. By Amima, and tell me when you got it, please, Rabbi Yosef. By Amima, in those days, Keshevet HaMelech Achashverosh, when King Achashverosh was sitting al Kisei Malchuso on the chair of his kingdom, i.e. on his throne, Asher b'Shushan Abirah, which is in Shushan, the capital. Rabbi Mark Gittler, who we studied with the afternoon at 2, he pointed out that the only two cities in the Bible that were called the Bira are Shushan and Jerusalem. And it's as though the Jews were replacing Jerusalem with Shushan because they didn't want to go back. And he said there's a lot of parallels between this capital city and Jerusalem. They were replacing it. Kind of like the American Jewish community has replaced, to a little degree, has replaced Israel with Teaneck or Woodmere or whatever. We've replaced Israel with that. Did you pull it up, Rabbi Yosef? Did you find it?
Not yet.
Okay. So it says, what does Rashi says? Kishevet HaMelech Achashverosh, Kishenit Kayem HaMalchus Biyado. He's firmly established the kingdom. So he's firmly established the kingdom. Finally, he was able to sit on his throne. And the rabbis established it in another way. And rabbis interpreted it another way. What was the other way? The other way was that he thought that since Jeremiah prophesied that the exile would last for 70 years, and Achashverosh was afraid that after 70 years, Israel will be redeemed and restored to its basically supremacy in the world. But 70 years passed, he celebrated, he said, oh, it's proof that they're not going to make it. And so he threw a big party, but it was a big mistake because he thought the 70 years began when Yechaniah was exiled. But remember, Yechaniah's exile was before Tzidkiyahu's exile. But it only began with the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. Here.
11 years, right?
Yeah, but go up a little bit above this. Yeah, go up a little bit above this. Okay, Mehodu Vakosh, right there. So Rabbi Yosef pulled up the Gemara from Megillah 11a. Rav Shmuel Chad Amar Hodu B'Sof Haolam V'Kush B'Sof Haolam. So one opinion is that they were each in the other ends of the world. So one opinion is that they were on opposite ends of the world. The other opinion is they were right next to each other. And just like he ruled over, and this is the first opinion of Rashi, just like he ruled over Hodu and Kush, which were right next to each other, so too he ruled from one end of the world to the other end of the world. So Rashi is adopting the second opinion. But if you go down a little bit, see the next part, which Rashi also quotes, the next part of the Gemara, Kayotze b'davar, similar, you see, with regard to Shlomo, said he ruled over B'kol Ever Anar, B'Tifsach Vad Aza. He ruled over even over to Gaza, from Tifsach to Gaza. And there we have the same dispute, whether they were right next to each other or whether one was on one end of the world and the other was on the other end of the world. So you see that there was the fundamental dispute about where these places were. So we shouldn't assume that just because we call in modern Hebrew Kush Ethiopia, that was what they called it then. It could have been something else entirely. Okay, so we go on. Bishnat Shalosh Malko, in the third year of his kingdom, also Mishtel Kol Sarav Va'avadav, he made a party for all his princes and servants. Chel Parasu Madai, all of the officials of Persia and Media, Apartumim, the nobles, the Sarei Medinos, the princes of the provinces, Lefanav. So the Megillah really starts in what year of his kingdom? What year of Achashverosh's kingdom does it start? The third year. Why is this relevant? Because let me ask you a question before we get into it. Over how long does this Megillah take place? Does the book of Esther take place?
Last year.
All right, you remember everything. You remember everything, Jeffrey.
The question, that I remember, let's see, it was a long time.
So it goes. Yeah, very good, Jeffrey. You can't get it. I'd have to wake up, Jeffrey, really early in the morning to get one past him, because it says at the end of the book of Esther, it says, what does it say there? It says, it says, hold on. There's a text that it says in the 12th year of his reign. It says in the 12th year of his reign. Well, let's just see where it says it. Where does it say it? Maybe in chapter.
I remember last year you cited it, and it's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
I mean, you have to. I don't know the exact verse right now. Wasn't expecting to explore this. Oh yeah, here we say. No. Well, if you Google the 12th year of Achashverosh's reign, hold on a second. You find it, Rabbi Yosef? You Google like the 12th year of his reign? Let me see. Why can't I not find it? Hold on. That's frustrating for me. I'll Google it myself. I'll Google it. Here, look at chapter 3. Look at chapter. Tell the Snyder Mishpacha what page we're on. Look at chapter 3, verse 7. In the first month, which is the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Achashverosh, she cast the lots in Haman's presence. So the book takes place over 13 years, over 10 years, because that's where Haman cast the lots, but they didn't fight until a year later. So it takes place over 10 years. You have to think about that to see the hand of God in something that takes place not over 2 weeks or 1 week, 10 years. Try to think about where you were in 2015. Where were you in 2015? I mean, I don't even remember where I was.
I think I was in Oregon.
Right. Who knows where we were 10 years ago? And all of a sudden, they're weaving a story and telling it as one integrated story from 10 years. That's something to bear in mind, that to see the hand of God in something over 10 years in political machinations. And 10 years ago, who was the president of the United States? Yeah, Obama. So
He was building in Trump.
what?
He was
Rabbi was-
building in Trump.
Yeah.
10 years ago, that's what caused this trouble.
Yes.
Dressed him down at the annual banquet, the African press.
I don't know that. Well, that will be if you would write your book.
Yeah.
That's where you say 10 years ago there was a party
That's it.
and the president embarrassed a man, and that's what all this happened. That's your version.
It was Donna Ross.
Yes. I don't know. I don't want to get into the politics, but I'm just pointing out that 10 years ago, if you want to trace arc, you'd have to to say that this all happened because of an event 10 years ago. That's a little bit of a stretch, right? It's a little bit of a stretch. Yes, Rabbi Yosef.
I was just going to ask if, because of his high position in the government of Ahasuerus, was he able to write this down in the Divrei Yamim L'Machei Paras U'Madai, meaning that, you know, I got permission from the king to kill all the Jews, and it was the first day of Nisan, year 12. Actually, that isn't that their day of Rosh Hashanah L'Mlachim?
Yeah, but I don't know if that's the case in Persia.
Right, but for us that would be very important to know that. So obviously Esther wrote this through prophecy because she couldn't have known otherwise that that's when it happened. But I think that maybe because of other things that are mentioned that were written down, like Mordecai's saving the king, that maybe he did have authority to add this as a note, you know, secretary, please write this down.
The only problem is that there is no evidence of Mordecai and Esther in any of the Persian documents. The whole story there's no evidence of it. This is the only evidence of Mordecai and Esther having this miraculous victory. So that's
no, I'm talking about the lots that Haman would have.
right. I'm saying that doesn't appear in any evidence of Persia.
Wow.
None of their Persian histories mention it, and we do have Persian histories, but none of them mention this.
I have a stamp of a horseback rider with a Igeret, just like it describes in the.
Beautiful.
And it's printed in Iran, so.
There you go.
I'll share the picture later.
So we'll try Shkoyach. So we'll try. The next pasuk says.
That was off. It was 2011.
Okay, so Mishnat Shalosh L'Malko, in the third year of his kingdom, Asa Mishtel Kol Sarav Avadav, he made a party for all of his princes and servants. Oh, we just did that. 4. Barosos Osher Kabul Malchus, so he wanted to show off his wealth, his Mar-a-Lago, so to speak. Vesikar Teferes Gedula, so, and then the preciousness of his greatness. Yamim Rabim Shmonim U'Ma'asyom, he did a party for 180 days. You know what it is? A party for 180 days? Insane. Insane party. So he did the party for 180 days. Okay. And when these days were filled, the king made for all the people who were found in Shushan, the capital, and we need another party, a party of 7 days. In the courtyard of the garden of the king's palace. So what happened here? Let's just do the Rashi on this, and then we'll have a mincha. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, well, of course we have the minion, of course. Yeah, of course. So what does it mean? Rashi says, Makom Zerona Yarakot. He had a little orchard where the king used to plant everything. Okay, we'll stop here. Beautiful, always a Leviticus study, and we'll continue tomorrow, God willing.